morning, Adam. How are you?
Morning. I'm good. How are
Good
you? Happy
morning.
Friday.
Happy Friday. Welcome to
Happy
Friday.
Friday. You?
Yeah. Um, Excited to talk about timeline therapy today because I guess for both of us, it really was the big shift, wasn't it, in moving forward into a different platform of life, I guess, a different way of seeing life and a different version of ourselves. Timeline therapy is like this massive yet loving kick up the butt that allows you to almost start again in a way, yet you still have all the lessons, you still have all the good, the nuggets to take with you without the weight of those negative emotions. And what I wanted to say to you about negative emotions, we were talking about procrastination before we jumped in. To me, procrastination is 100% avoiding. It's avoidance. And isn't it, I find it funny anyway, that people almost wear procrastination a bit like a badge of honor. Like, oh, I've just been procrastinating. Oh, I'm such a procrastinator. You know, we've tongue in cheek it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you actually call it what it is and say, what are you avoiding? And what's the reason you fear it? Then it puts a whole new spin on it and it becomes something that is a lot more difficult to look at. You know,
Big time.
Yeah, you recognize that you are avoiding, running away from a negative emotion. You fear something, whether it be fearing rejection, fearing failure, fearing judgment. There's going to be a fear that's underpinning your procrastination. And once you figure out what that is and have some good people around you who can perhaps help you reframe that and learn from it, sky's the limit, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because when things are important to you, like, do we procrastinate about getting home to watch your favorite TV show on Netflix? No. No, I definitely don't. Do we procrastinate about getting the kids to school and sort of doing? No, you don't, because those things are all like, well, you're not afraid of those things. You're up doing it, because it's important to you. Yeah. Whereas, we might deem something as, well, it is important to me, but if it's not, then it's not going to be high on the priority list, especially if it's coupled with a bunch of fear.
Yeah, and because that fear is going to eat into self-belief as well. If you use the example you just said, even just getting the kids to school.
Negative self-belief.
Yeah.
Positive self-belief, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So you won't procrastinate, even though I mightn't find it that important some days to get Harrison to school. I'm a bit like, ugh. There's
you just get it done.
No fear in getting it done because I know I can do it. I know what to do. There's no surprises. I know I'm capable of it. So you're not really risking anything, are you? However, the negative self-belief comes into play when you start to fear the risk. It's a risk to do something because what if I fail? What if people talk about me? What if?
Yeah.
That's where it kicks us
and,
in the gut.
And we've all had that moment where, we've been procrastinating.
Yeah, let's do that.
About things, and then we do it and we go, oh, I don't know why I waited so long.
Yeah.
Do it, oh God, why did it take me so long to, oh, love it,
Yeah. That's a phrase you hear so often, don't you?
So often.
I don't know why it took me so long.
Yeah, it's like, well, welcome to the party.
Yeah, negative self-belief is the reason it took you so long.
100%.
So that was a little segue, wasn't it?
It was. So my first timeline therapy experience, and I'm happy to talk about him. A guy called Steve Crabb was my first ever. Steve Crabb and Tina, her name is, I forget her surname. She had like crazy purple hair at the time.
Yeah.
An older lady. Anyway, it was in this like, really cheap, not nasty, but relatively cheap hotel in a place called Croydon, just outside South London, where all the training happens. Everyone goes to Croydon, and it was a week long. It was my first foray into learning about coaching and all that kind of stuff. And my friends afterwards used to say to me, "Stop coaching me! Stop trying to coach me!" Because they were just pissing everybody off the whole time.
Yeah.
And anyway, this long story, half length, they did a timeline therapy, group timeline therapy, everybody up above your timeline, looking at everything, seeing everything like they were little slides that go in a projector, or like the whole life experience. Anyway, I went fully like into hypnosis, big time. And that was the first time I got to let go of some negative emotions. And man, I cried like a 6-year-old who just had their favorite toy taken away.
Oh, wow.
Oh, like it's the only way I can describe it. For hours, like I couldn't stop crying for hours. It felt so good afterwards. And really, that's where I became a massive fan of the whole thing, NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis, because I just blew my mind, and everything just got way better after that. I got to really let go of some stuff. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking 20 years ago now, probably 18 years ago.
Really? I had no idea it was that long ago for you.
Yeah, I've really been like an avid fan of all things mind for a good 20 years now.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't recommend it enough. And obviously when we're teaching things or when we're just working with someone and we get them to do these things, when somebody has that kind of release, you just think, oh yeah, like let that shit go, baby.
It just we get such a good feeling from it too, don't we?
Such a good feeling.
Yes.
Because we've experienced it. We know what it is to let go of stuff. There's always more stuff to let go of later, but that stuff that really knocks people up, really gets stored in the body. And when you see somebody have that release and they just their whole look changes in an instant, it's a beautiful thing to see, right?
I think the most common explanation or feedback that I've had from clients is they say, I'll say, "How are you feeling?" I'll say, "I don't know how to explain it. I just feel lighter." And that they do this with their hands. Not that on the podcast you can see this. However, they lift their hands up as if to say, "There's something I'm not carrying stuff." And it really is something that's difficult to explain until you've been through it, until you've done timeline therapy and felt that weight lift off your chest. I've had some people say that they felt it in their stomach. A lot of people feel it on their shoulders and their back. And I think about, if we ask people, where do you carry the weight of, when you think about things that you feel guilty about, or things that make you sad or angry from the past, or things that you're scared of, where do you feel them? Where do you carry them? And I think it's normal, perhaps, or common to feel it on your back and your shoulders, that it's just this weight that you're carrying around. And once you do timeline therapy for the first time, there is a real shift of that weight, isn't there? And it just feels
massively. One of my NLP students, she came along and she was like, "Well, I've had timeline therapy before and it didn't work for me."
Oh yes, yeah.
And I said, "Well, I'm not surprised." Yeah, because you can't go to these things and be like, "Oh, this is the thing that's gonna do it," because of course it's all you and your mind
Mm.
The timeline therapy is just the conduit, the process to help you release your stuff. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you don't want to let go of it, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that was nice, but your mind's going to just sort of gloss over it. And
Mm.
then after she'd done, well, I mean, what's that? 3 or 4 weeks worth of training, hardcore, done the practitioner, master practitioner
Oh yeah.
level, and really got kind of into it and really did the work herself. When we actually did the timeline therapy bit, and then continued to do some work on it with the hypnosis, the deep hypnosis stuff, it was like, aha, there it is. Like,
Now I get it.
yeah, she was like, oh my God, now I understand.
Yeah.
If you're rolling around looking for something else to be the thing that's going to do it, I mean, it doesn't. Something's got to hit the button at some point, but you've got to pull back the cover on the button, haven't you?
Yeah. But
Prepared to do it.
the thing is, timeline therapy is not a pill. It's not,
because none of it is.
that's it. We get a headache and you take a paracetamol because you think, okay, that's going to fix it. However, that's a whole nother podcast we could do on that and hypnosis. That aside though, when you do timeline therapy, you're exactly right. It's not a magic pill. It's not something that's going to, it itself, like you said, is simply it's almost like the manual or it's the process. You still have to surrender to that process and allow it, give permission to yourself to fully immerse yourself. Like you said, that first time you did it 20 odd years ago, you just went fully in, you surrendered. Yep, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And it's only those people that do that who truly experience that weight shifting and lifting. Because, and I get it, there were some moments in my timeline therapy where I consciously caught myself, I guess, holding on to something because I had made it part of my identity. And so I sort of felt like, well, I wasn't consciously saying I don't want to let that go. However, I could feel it was harder to surrender to some of the stuff. And once I did though, once I simply let go, completely different,
So what's the story, babe? What happened? What was the first time?
My cherry. Let's pop my cherry.
Where'd you pop your cherry?
So it was in, I believe, oh gosh, I think we must be talking, I don't even know how long ago now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say 5 or 6 years ago now. And I had already been dabbling into, I knew I wanted to help people, coming from such a multiple kind of traumatic background and having survived it all. I thought, well, surely I'm meant to help other people navigate this, clusterfuck that I had survived. And so I'd been doing research and courses and learning on all sorts of things. Like I'm a Reiki master. I'm a color therapist. I'm a massage therapist. I dabbled in tarot and crystals and astrology. And then I had started at that point my psychology degree as well. So really wanting to figure things out. How does my mind work and how can I help other people?
Yeah.
And there I was on my merry way. And my little brother, actually, my baby brother, he said, Allie, I've just gone and done this thing. It's called NLP, this thing. It blew my mind. And I feel like it's got your name written all over it. I don't know why. You just got to do it. So I, like the other sort of 30 people that were in the room the day that we went to this course, 5-day course, we were all there simply to get a tool to help other people, because we were fine. We were woke, we were healed, nothing wrong here. We're just going to get something to help other people. How wrong I was. How wrong I was. When I did timeline therapy, we did because obviously there's 5 emotions that you go through in timeline therapy: anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt, in that order. And so we did anger first, and then had a break to discuss and, talk about our experience. And I did anger. And at that point, I just wanted to pack up my shit and go home. I'm like, this is shit. Did not sign up for this. What is this crap? Feeling stuff, need to go.
Wow.
And it was really quite, it's like, and, we know differently now, when that anger is released and allowed that space to come out and let go safely, the next emotion that is ready to bubble up is sadness.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there bawling my eyes out, trying to book my flight to come back home. I just wanted out. I was ready to walk away. And the coach at the time, the trainer, he just came and knelt down in front of me and said, Ali, I'm going to ask you to trust me. You've done the hard work to get to this point. I'm going to ask you to trust me. See it through to the end. And then if you still want to go home, go home. See it through, though. So, challenge accepted. And so I went back in the room after having that dramatic exit. I went back in and did the other 4 emotions. And much like yourself, Adam, I released so much. I cried for hours after it. However, it wasn't a cry of despair. It was a release. It was a cry of just letting that crap go that I'd carried for, 40 years. It was just gone. And it felt so good. I felt so free and alive. And I had so much more clarity in my mind, in my heart. I felt like I had unlocked my own prison, that I kept myself in.
Yeah.
And so, I came back from that course, a certified practitioner, and I was so fired up. I had my first client to do timeline therapy with the next day after arriving back home. I booked her in and I'm like, you've got to do this. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I've been a junkie ever since. It simply is just one of the best tools I've ever come across that helped me understand my process, my thinking, my emotions, how I store memories even. It just allowed me to understand myself, which in turn allowed me a lot more compassion and understanding for others.
Yeah.
Instead of being such the judgy bitchy judge. No, what did we say?
Bitch.
That I was previously. So, 100% would recommend timeline therapy.
Oh yeah. All of it. It's all of it, isn't it? It's like, and it really does all fit hand in hand. Once you really get that understanding of the language, which we talk about, so much, and how that is associated with the, those core beliefs, which of course are then also tied to the emotions, the negative emotions.
Yes.
And hypnosis, how that everything is hypnosis. The things that we say to ourselves all the time, we're just constantly hypnotizing ourselves and those around us. It's the trifecta, as they say. It's the ultimate trifecta.
Triple threat.
In a good way.
In a good way. Yeah.
Triple threat to the bullshit.
Oh, trademark.
Yeah, it's a bullshit triple threat.
Yeah. I do like as well, that what I found, timeline therapy in its purest form, as intended by Tad James.
Do you know what? I'm going to use that opportunity to pause because I need to shut the window because the blind keeps banging. Hold on one sec.
All right. Sweetie, I need you to be quiet. I told you. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Timeline therapy in its natural form, as was intended by Tad James, works flawlessly, absolutely flawlessly. And it's important to learn how it works and what the nuts and bolts of the process is, how it works and why it works. Then once you understand the process, what I found after doing it for many years is you can then really trust your instinct as a practitioner and be able to incorporate and listen and gauge what the client is going through and what they are, feeling through the experience. So I love that I can add other tools to it as I'm using it. I use a bit of color therapy in my timeline therapy to help for people who are very visual. It can help them to have color associated with the different emotions. So, and therefore that color, and here comes the hypnotherapy part, that color becomes a convincer after the fact. So every time they see that color that they've associated, they're able to level up again with letting go of negative emotions.
Can I book in with you, please?
Yeah. Yes, please do.
Yeah, no joke.
You want to do some color therapy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, the therapist needs therapy sometimes.
What did you say? Oh, 100%. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for saying that. And that's
it's
the
important
other
to always do the work, isn't it?
Yes.
Actually, that's a really good idea.
Love that.
Yeah.
The other thing I've learned along the line as well is our unconscious mind, it suppresses things until we're in a mindset and a safe space to deal with those things. Yeah. And so what I found is that you do timeline therapy and it releases so much. However, it takes you to a place where you have a level up and you enter into a space where you are faced with problems that you no longer know the answer to. You're outside of your comfort zone. So the problems that you have around you and the way that you think and the way that you communicate is another level. It's what's the word I want? It's more complex. Yeah. So
yeah.
As our world becomes more complex, because our thoughts create our reality, as it becomes more complex, doing timeline therapy again can actually give you even more of a complex release of things that perhaps previously you were not ready to release or might not even have been aware of. And it allows that space, I suppose, to dig deeper and really get rid of some of those core negative beliefs and values that you might have. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's important, to remember and sort of flag here that it's not about reassociating with the event itself.
100%.
It's not like, going back and revisiting a, horrifically traumatic moment or things like that. It's about, observing versus engaging with it and still taking the, the positive learnings.
Yeah. Well, timeline therapy is done from a dissociative.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's probably, to anyone listening that's not probably, they might be thinking, oh God, it's like Alison's saying, or like you're saying, darling, it's dissociative. Say that with
Yeah.
your drunk.
Gosh, I struggle sober to say that. That's
I'm
why
dissociative at the moment.
100%. That's why I shortened it, because I didn't realize that disassociative and dissociative are the same thing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were the same thing. I thought they were two different things. So
You
I
just got to say it fast. So you say disassociative or dissociative.
So I just do the
quickly.
shorter one. Chance of me screwing it up. But all timeline therapy is done dissociated, so that you can observe from afar, which allows you to, see events. And it's even not about remembering. It's not about remembering events either, because our memory can be distorted based on our beliefs and our filters and all that stuff. So it's like you said, you have to surrender and trust the process and allow your dissociated self to be guided by, a experienced practitioner who can help you look down upon significant emotional events in your life, so that you can take a learning from it and disconnect the negative emotion. So you're not carrying it around in your big emotional sack. But I'd slide that in there.
Love a big emotional sack.
Yeah, let us help you
empty your emotional sack. Oh, that escalated quickly.
Always. I'm surprised this long to get here.
I know.
So that's what I think will be from now on. I'm just going to ask people, Adam. I'm going to say, so how's your emotional sack feeling?
Yes. Does one need to empty?
Yeah. Is it weighty? How's it?
Oh my God, classic. Anyway.
Anyway, on that note, so what do you think? Is there anything else you'd like to add in regards to?
I think that was it. I think that was good in a nutshell, really.
In a nutshell.
There's obviously
I've got to stop.
No, I think we've touched it. There's of course loads more information.
Yeah.
Which if anybody wants to find out, if you want to find out, then reach out. But of course, this is all taught in in the education, etc. But even if you don't want to just learn how to do it, then and just have it done to you, then reach out. Also, it's a very worthwhile experience to give yourself.
100%. Give the gift of it to yourself.
Yeah.
And start creating, a much better life for yourself, with much more clarity, much more confidence. It's a win-win. There's nothing to lose with doing it, honestly.
And everything to gain.
100%. All right, Adam. This has been
all right, Dal.
Love you lots.
Love you too.
And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.